Hello, everyone. Today, we are going on an adventure to a very special place. It is one of the coldest places on Earth. We are going to learn about the North Pole. Have you ever looked at a globe? A globe is a model of our planet, Earth. If you look at the very top of the globe, that point is the North Pole. It is the northernmost point on Earth. Imagine standing there. You can only look south, no matter which way you turn. Now, what do you think is at the North Pole? Is it land, like a country or a continent? No, the North Pole is not on land. It is in the middle of a big ocean called the Arctic Ocean. But this ocean is very special because it is mostly covered in ice. So, the North Pole is on a giant sheet of floating ice.
Ice, ice, everywhere.
The North Pole is famous for being cold. How cold? It is much colder than your freezer at home. In winter, the temperature can drop to minus 40 degrees Celsius, minus 40 degrees C. That is so cold that water freezes instantly. Even in summer, it is still freezing, usually around 0 degrees Celsius. 0 degrees Celsius, which is the temperature where ice melts, but there is still lots of ice around. Because it is so cold, the Arctic Ocean around the North Pole is covered with sea ice. Sea ice is frozen ocean water. It can be very thick, maybe 2 or 3 meters thick, like the height of a tall person. This ice is not like the ice on a lake in winter. It is always moving. The ice floats on the water and is pushed around by wind and ocean currents. So, the ice at the exact North Pole today might be in a different place tomorrow. It is like a giant, slow-moving puzzle of ice pieces. Sometimes the ice cracks and opens up, showing the dark water below. Sometimes pieces of ice push against each other and form ridges, like small ice mountains. It is a changing, icy world.
A land of midnight sun and polar night.
The North Pole has very strange days and nights. It is different from where most of us live. Imagine summer, but the sun never goes down. For 6 months, from about March to September, the sun is always in the sky at the North Pole. Even at midnight, the sun is shining. This is called the midnight sun. It circles around the sky but never sets below the horizon. Now, imagine winter, but the sun never comes up. For the other 6 months, from about September to March, the sun stays below the horizon. It is dark all day and all night. This long period of darkness is called the polar night. The only light comes from the moon and the stars, and sometimes beautiful lights in the sky. So, the North Pole has one very long day, 6 months of sunlight, and one very long night, 6 months of darkness each year.
Amazing animals of the Arctic.
Do animals live right at the North Pole, on the moving ice? Not really. It is too difficult to find food there all the time. But in the Arctic region, the area around the North Pole, there are many amazing animals that are adapted to live in the cold. Polar bears. The most famous Arctic animal is the polar bear. They are huge white bears. Their thick fur and a layer of fat under their skin keep them warm. They have big paws that help them walk on snow and ice, and they are excellent swimmers. Polar bears hunt seals, which are their main food. Seals. Several types of seals live in the Arctic Ocean. They have thick fat called blubber to stay warm in the icy water. They are great swimmers and divers. They eat fish and other sea creatures. Seals often rest on the ice, but they have to make breathing holes to come up for air when they are under the ice. Polar bears wait near these holes to catch them. Seals. Some whales live in the cold Arctic waters. The beluga whale is white and is sometimes called the sea canary because it makes chirping sounds. The narwhal is famous for its long spiral tusk, which is actually a tooth. It looks like a unicorn horn. Arctic foxes. These are small foxes that live in the Arctic lands. They have thick fur that changes color. In winter, their fur is white, which helps them hide in the snow. In summer, their fur turns brown or gray. They eat small animals, birds, and eggs. Arctic birds. Many birds visit the Arctic in the summer when it is warmer and there is more food. Puffins, with their colorful beaks, nest on cliffs. The snowy owl is a large white owl that stays in the Arctic all year round. It hunts small animals. How do they survive? How do these animals live in such a cold place? They have special adaptations. Many have thick fur or feathers to keep warm. Animals like seals, whales, and polar bears have a thick layer of fat called blubber under their skin. This blubber works like a warm coat. Some animals have smaller ears and noses to lose less heat. They are all experts at finding food in the ice and snow.
People of the Arctic.
Do people live right at the North Pole? No, nobody lives permanently at the geographic North Pole because it is just moving sea ice. There are no houses or towns there. However, people do live in the Arctic region on the land surrounding the Arctic Ocean. These lands include parts of Canada, Greenland, which belongs to Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Russia, and Alaska, which is part of the USA. For thousands of years, indigenous peoples have lived in these cold lands. Indigenous means they were the first people to live there. One well-known group of Arctic indigenous people is the Inuit. They live in Greenland, Canada, and Alaska. Traditionally, the Inuit were expert hunters and fishers. They hunted seals, whales, and caribou, reindeer. They used all parts of the animal for food, clothing, tools, and shelter. They built homes called igloos from snow in the winter when traveling. They wore warm clothes made from animal skins and fur. They traveled using dog sleds. Today, many Inuit live in modern towns, but they still keep many of their traditions and have a deep knowledge of the Arctic environment.
Exploring the North Pole.
For a long time, people were curious about the North Pole. They wanted to be the first to reach the very top of the world. Exploring the Arctic was very difficult and dangerous because of the extreme cold, the moving ice, and the long distances. Explorers used strong ships built to break through ice, called icebreakers. They also traveled over the ice using sleds pulled by dogs. Many explorers tried to reach the North Pole in the late 1800s and early 1900s. An American explorer named Robert Peary claimed he was the first person to reach the North Pole in 1909, along with Matthew Henson and 4 Inuit men. However, some people are not sure if he really reached the exact pole. It was very hard to know exactly where you were back then. Today, reaching the North Pole is still an adventure. Sometimes powerful icebreaker ships carry tourists there in the summer. Scientists also travel to the Arctic to study the ice, the ocean, the climate, and the animals. They often set up temporary camps on the ice.
Why is the North Pole important?
The North Pole and the Arctic region might seem far away, but they are very important for the whole planet Earth. The white ice and snow in the Arctic act like a giant mirror. They reflect sunlight back into space. This helps to keep our planet cool. Think of it like Earth's air conditioner. But now something is happening. Our planet is getting warmer. This is called climate change or global warming. Because the Earth is getting warmer, the sea ice in the Arctic is melting faster and shrinking. There is less ice in the summer than there used to be. This is a big problem. When the ice melts, there is less white surface to reflect sunlight. The dark ocean water absorbs more heat from the sun, which makes the Arctic even warmer and causes more ice to melt. It is a cycle. The melting ice is also bad for Arctic animals. Polar bears need sea ice to hunt seals. Seals need ice to rest and raise their pups. When the ice disappears, these animals lose their homes and find it harder to survive. Melting ice also affects people around the world. When ice on land, like glaciers in Greenland, melts, the water flows into the ocean, causing sea levels to rise. This can cause problems for cities near the coast.
Fun facts about the North Pole.
During the long, dark polar night, you can sometimes see amazing lights dancing in the sky. They can be green, pink, purple, or blue. These are the northern lights, or aurora borealis. They are caused by tiny particles from the sun hitting the air high above the Earth. Two North Poles? There is the geographic North Pole, the very top point of the Earth. But there is also the magnetic North Pole. This is the point where your compass needle points. The magnetic North Pole is not in the same place as the geographic North Pole, and it actually moves around over time.
A special changing place.
So, we have learned a lot about the North Pole. We know it is not land but frozen sea ice on the Arctic Ocean. It is very cold, with 6 months of daylight, midnight sun, and 6 months of darkness, polar night. Amazing animals like polar bears, seals, whales, and Arctic foxes live in the region, and they have special ways to survive the cold. People, like the Inuit, have lived in the Arctic lands for thousands of years. The North Pole is important for keeping our planet cool, but the ice is melting because of climate change. This affects the animals and people there, and it affects all of us. The North Pole is a unique, beautiful, and important part of our world. We need to learn about it and help protect it for the future. Thank you for exploring the North Pole with me today.